mean, who knows? Maybe we can just forget this whole fight thing and just be friends or something. What do you think?
You're never gonna learn, are you?
What do you mean?
I mean, no matter what you say or what you do, you and me are gonna fight when that bell rings at 3 o'clock.
Can't we be friends? Can't we even try?
I don't need friends.
Hey, wait a minute. I can't fight you. I mean, I don't know how to fight somebody like you. Hey, do you hear me? I can't do it. Hey, what if I paid you? What if I paid you? Would you back off then? Look, I have $350. It's yours if you leave me alone.
O'Rourke put you up to this?
Rourke has nothing to do with this.
Just to call off the fight, no catches.
No catches.
All right. You live.
Swear to God, you're not gonna trash me?
But you know what, Mitchell? You're the biggest pussy I've ever met in my life. You didn't even try. How does that feel?
So what's that famous actress years ago, the golden years? She dark hair, voluptuous. She was married 3 or 4 times to.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to Cornell. I have my master's from Cornell, and we went for Thanksgiving to Boston, and I met her.
Really?
Yeah. And she wanted to hang. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm in school. All right. No, but it was amazing. And that was just the beginning of the weekend. We had a great time.
How great is that? How was that weekend? Was it one to remember?
Oh yeah, man. It the passion, of the city. I know that from that experience, I have 4 brothers. I played football and baseball and basketball, but I know we would have played hockey.
Right.
We would have.
Richard, I was watching some interviews that you did just prepping for this interview, and one guy introduced you, and he was really nice. Like, he did a good job with the interview, but he said, you may not know the name, but you know the face. I'm like, if you don't know Richard Tyson's name, then you're not a movie fan. Like, cut the shit. Like, if you don't know that, it's not like some obscure guy that had a walk-on role in like 2 movies or something. Like, it was a great interview. So I don't want to crap on anybody, but it was really, it's like, I would say your name is household, certainly to the common movie fan.
Yeah, I've had some other appearances where they said, well, let's get some other people in your movie, so it's a group. It's like, do I need a group?
I don't. Yeah, we're going to get to the Comic-Con thing, but like, yeah, I don't. I'm good at that. So Richard, let me ask you, you talked about sports, you talked a little about your brothers. What kind of kid were you? Were you always, I know you're a sports kid. You're clearly a Dodgers fan. Being a Red Sox fan, the Dodgers completely ripped us off on the trade for Mookie Betts. What kind of kid were you? Did movies and love for acting come along a little later, or was that something in you early on, just like sports was?
No, it was not in me at all. In fact, we would play baseball until Dad would drive by with the station wagon and put us in the car because we wouldn't go home, and it was dark. But we were still playing. No, I was going to be a dive bomber, and like my dad in World War II and Korean War, and I went to Annapolis. I was lucky enough to get in Annapolis after my senior year. I was president of every class that I was in at high school. I was president of every club, wow. And I was going to be a congressman like my father and my great-grandfather. But at Annapolis, I was wrestling. Now wrestling in Alabama back then, it wasn't formal at all. In fact, the only time we wrestled was when spring practice football. We'd do wrestling sometimes if it was raining or stuff. And I was always in the final, and I was the smallest guy out there, but I had 4 brothers, so I've been doing it a long time, and I would win. I would win. So I go to Annapolis, and they go, okay. So I told them that, and then they go, okay, you wrestle this guy, and he's number 2 from Michigan. I said, number 2 what? She says, in the state. I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, all right. So he says, get down on your hands and knees. And I'm like, what do you mean, get down on my hands and knees? He goes, yeah, you got to get down. And then I said, okay, what? I feel like a donkey or something, And then this guy kneeled down, put his hand on my shoulder and reached around my waist. I'm like, what's going on here? That's the way it is. You got 3 minutes. All right. I said, what do you want me to do now? He says, get away from him. I'm like, okay. And so, and action, and I immediately got up, stood there, and I said, now what? He says, just get away from him. So I said, oh, okay. So I let him catch me so I could get away. I didn't know he was getting 2 points and I was getting 1. And finally, it was over, and I guess I was half of what his was because he was getting 2. I said, now what? She says, now it's your turn to be on top of him. I'm like, well, it's about time. And so I said, what do you want me to do? He goes, don't let him get up. I'm like, okay. I held him for 3 minutes. It was the most boring wrestling ever, but he never could get up. Number 2 in Michigan. Oh, boy. And so the third one was stand up face to face and pin him. I'm like, now you're talking.
Yeah.
I grabbed him. I slammed him down on the mat, and I put his shoulder down, and they slapped the mat. They slapped it one time. I'm like, keep counting, man. Keep counting. Keep counting. No, that's a different kind of wrestling. That's wrestling. I'm like, go slap it again. So that coach, man, he just loved me after that. He's like, there were 3 national champions in our company alone. And I was all psyched about that.
Yeah.
I thought possibility was real. So they had 150 football, for wrestlers to stay in shape, over, the off season. And, all the schools in the Northeast have a NCAA championship 150 football. And I could outrun the rest of the guys on the offensive line, so I became the tight end. And I was the leading receiver going into the third game. The third game, I had my right foot torn off of my leg, and the referee comes over and says, give me the ball. And I look back at my foot. I was laying on my stomach. There's a white bone sticking through the red socks into the green astroturf. And my toes were pointed in the air. And I'm like, I looked up at him. I said, he goes, give me the ball. I said, this is my ball. This is my ball here, right here. Do you see what's going on back there? And it changed my life. I was a math major before, and I said I wanted to go into English, and so the big Marine captain, he tried to convince me that I didn't want to do that because we're in the Navy. I said, well, we have to communicate to people too, you know. Anyway, he was not into it, you know, and I stayed the rest of the year. That was in October 11th. And on August 5th of the following year, I walked away with my stripe that I passed plebe summer. And I still had a boot, and I was walking with a cane.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I went through the whole thing. So I end up going back home. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so long, but I went back home, and my friend was talking about the University of South Alabama Jaguars. They were having tryouts for baseball, and so I said, "Well, I'm going to try it," you know. So we go to the first practice. That first practice is Thursday to Sunday, and you never even touch a ball or a bat. It's all just run your ass off.
Oh my God.
And I did. I did it on Sunday afternoon. I'm walking away from the mound. Coach Stanky, that was him. Coach Stanky says, "Hey, Tyson, before you go, look, I need to tell you that you're ineligible because you transferred. You can work out with us and be a part of us, but you won't be able to play in any games." I'm like, "What? What is that? You know, You kidding me?" He goes, I said, "Well, I got to think about that, coach." And I start walking towards third base to go out of the stadium. And I stopped. I turned around and said, "Coach, one question. Did you know that I was ineligible on Thursday?" This was Sunday afternoon.
Oh my God. Oh.
And he started laughing. Oh my God.
Oh no, that is horrible. Richard, I want to back up a little bit. So when you say Annapolis, that's the Naval Academy, correct? Is that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, for those listening, I mean, you went to the Naval Academy, University of Alabama for a few years, got your master's at Cornell. Yeah. You are a Shakespearean trained actor. Like
my dear Lord, the purest.
Look at you.
He goes, my first character was in Richard II, and goes, "My name is Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, who hither come engaged by my oath, which God defend the knight should violate, both to defend my honor and my will. And by this," I forgot now, but anyway,
no, it's impressive, and I've seen another interview go off for a long time on your Shakespeare. That is impressive, Richard. Like that is, you know, people look at your body of work, and sometimes I don't think people understand the work that like actors put in. In your case, you put in a ton of work, right? You were even you were even breaking into like movie studios because you wanted to get there so much, right?
That's right.
So talk about that, Richard.
Okay. So after I was kicked off of the baseball team because I was ineligible, I'm walking across the street, and there's an antebellum home that was rebuilt from downtown Mobile out on the campus. And I see some people going in the door, and it's like, damn, it's like there's one right after the other. And I'm like, what is that? And I go up, open up, there's a couple of people there, and I said, "What's going on?" She goes, "We're having an audition for the play. Butterflies Are Free." I'm like, "Audition? That's a tryout, right?" And she laughed, and she goes, I said, "Well, look, can I watch?" She goes, "Yeah. Now, when you walk through the next curtain, you're on stage. And so walk across the stage and go up the stairs. It's a thrust theater with seats like this."
Right.
And if I was on stage and I'm looking straight at you, you're sitting in a chair even with my height.
Right.
And so I went, she goes, "Sit behind the cameras and just don't say anything." watched it audition for all the characters for the whole time. It was 2 hours and 45 minutes, 2:30, something like that. And so the director and the guy that's going to close up the joint, he stage manager, they're about to leave, and I said, "Hey, can I try that?" And they go, come down here in the light. You know, when we're 17, we're all pretty. And they said, "Yeah, come on down. What's going on?" You know, and I'm like, I said, "Look, this is about a blind boy who comes to Manhattan to get away from his Jewish parents because they're keeping him down, but he wants to become a man." But I never saw anyone act blind. I was up there and I watched for 2.5 hours, and I never saw anyone try to act blind. And the director goes, "Can you do it?" And I went, he goes, "That's pretty good." He goes, "Would you read this?" I said, "I can't. I'm blind." I got the lead role.
Wow.
I played the blind guy. Oh my God. Anyway, after that production, it was really great. I lost 15 pounds the first night, but after that, you know, I got into it, and I was in political science, and I ended up doing a children's theater with the same director, and I got paid. And I was working in the library, and he came in and says, "Do you want to do a children's theater?" I said, I did the theater thing. You know, I don't need it now. He goes, "It pays more than the library." I'm like, "Okay, all right. What do you want me to do?" You know, and we enacted stories from the first grade class all the way to the sixth grade, using 1 week for each grade.
Wow.
And we would have 2 shows a day, 1,500 first graders. 15.
Wow.
It was in an old Sanger Theater downtown Mobile. It's still there. It's beautiful. But that really changed it for me. And I knew that I was heading out, you know, I was going somewhere. I got on the bus with $100 to go be in the movies. My brother and everybody rushed down. He played for Bama. My younger brother, he was bigger than all of us. Still is, I guess. And he says, "I've counted them. There's 47 people and your mother to see you go be in the movies. You better do it." I'm like, "I'm getting on the damn bus, Adrian." "What do you mean I better do it? I'm doing it."
Yeah. You know, Richard, I was going to ask you what your brothers thought, and it's just so sweet to see that they were so supportive of you, right? That's such a great thing.
Yeah. We were a good, tight knit group, you know, all the way up, you know. And they were psyched, and they're all clapping, and you know, I'm getting on the bus, and I said, "Adrian, by the way, that's 48 people. Your mother's a person."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I had my thumb out of the window, and 2 weeks later, I made it to Hollywood and Vine.
Before I get into your filmography, Richard, I wanted to ask you, talk about Jane and the you were breaking into, like, not breaking into, you were sneaking into movie studios.
I did that for 2.5 years. I was a banquet waiter, so if I couldn't make that banquet, I could make the evening banquet or whatever. You know, it was a great job for an actor because he could shuffle his, if he had auditions or whatever, if he's going to break in or whatever. But there was a Fox. No, it was Warner Brothers. I checked it out for a couple of days. That's going from Santa Monica with 4 different buses to get to Universal Studio, out there to the valley, to where most of the studios are.
Right.
Warner Brothers was there, and so I studied it and realized the guard had a guard shack, and it was just one on certain parts of the day. And if he's talking to a guy entering in the car, he's talking to them. And if I was running fast enough, I could go in and turn into the left lane, the exit lane, and go. And I know I could make it to the first building. And so I'm about 50 yards by the ivy wall, and I start going, I'm running. I turn left, and the guy, there's no car there, and he's leaning with his cigarette against the damn, against the thing that, and I'm like, I went, I stopped, and I ran out, and I ran away, and I waited, got a couple of good deep breaths, and I said, all right, I'm going back. I'm going to do 60 now. I'm going to do 60. And I come running down there, and he's talking to somebody in the car, and I go 100 yards and I finally get to this building on the right, and I go in, and it was a 1950s kind of World War II building, wooden building.
Right.
But I open a door, nobody's in there, but there's a 6-seat table pushed up right against this desk. I'm like, long ways. And I'm like, I've never seen that. What are they doing? You know, it was a casting place, I guess, or something like that. And I got under and I just breathed. I just sat there for about over an hour, and just, okay, you know, and that's how I got into Warner Brothers. And I found a way to get into all of them. Finally, 2.5 years later, I was on the bus coming back from Hollywood. I would not be a restaurant manager, but I would be a dishwasher or a busboy, because I didn't come out there to Hollywood to be be a restaurant guy, you know?
Right.
And so the bus stopped right by the entrance at Fox Studios, and there was an empty parking lot, and there were 2 brand new trailers. I said, those are casting trailers. Those are casting. Yeah, I need to get off the bus. And so I got off the bus. I said, I might lose my job, but I didn't come out here to work in the kitchen either. But I'm walking across the parking lot, and there are no cars, no people. There's no activity with the 2 trailers. And so I said, which one am I going? Left or right? Left or right? Left or right? I'll let fate decide it. Which one? And I just stopped. I said, you know, I can stand right here, and both of them can see me clearly. And I stood there. It was like 1:30 in the afternoon. I stayed until dark, and I stood right there, and I was like, you're going to need one of these. You're going to need one. Yeah. You know, okay. You don't want to miss out. You know, you know, I wasn't yelling it, you know, but, you know, so I said, well, I'll see you tomorrow. You know, next day, the business starts at 10 o'clock in Hollywood, you know, the lawyers and the agents and all that. If you're acting or whatever, if you got a thing going, you could be called in at 5 a.m., you know, but the business really gets going like 10 o'clock.
Right.
So I was there at 9 a.m., the same place that I stood all day the day before. On Tuesday afternoon, I stood there all day long. No one talked to me. No one. I didn't see anybody. And I did that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Every day I showed up at 9 a.m. And I was there when, if anybody was in those trailers, I was there already when they got there, you know. And so I said, late Friday afternoon, I'm like, all right, I'm going to try a different thing next week. Last chance to get this. You're going to need it.
Get it while you can.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And all of a sudden on the left trailer, this heavy set woman, she leaned down and goes, "Hey, do you want some water?" I'm like, "I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank Jesus, you know." And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'd like to thank my parents," you know. And she says, come on in, settle down, you know. And then we'll go see the boss in the back, Jane Feinberg. I'm like, "Feinberg? Okay. Is that Jewish?" She goes, "Yeah, oh yeah, yeah." I said, "Okay, well, that's great. I never knew the concept, or I had 3 guys on my little league baseball team, and he was Jewish. I didn't know it was different than anybody else, and it's not. You know,
Right,
we're all
right.
here." So I go back there, and I knew 2 monologues. One from Butterflies Are Free, because I remember that, and the director, when I was doing the children's theater, said, "Learn some Tennessee Williams, Streetcar Named Desire," and I did. And I had 2, and I walked in. "So, hello, Miss Feinberg. I'm Richard Tyson, and hey, do you want to hear some monologues?" You want to hear a monologue? She goes, "No, that's theater. That's theater. We don't see. I've never seen a monologue. I don't want to see one. I don't ever want to see one. We're in movies and TV." I'm like, "But it's a good monologue. I mean, it's Tennessee Williams." You know, she's like, says, "No, I don't want it." I said, "Look, I know where Mitch is, because he didn't come back here with the roses, but I know where he is." And I started doing the monologue, and she's answering me. She goes, "Mitch who?" And I'm like, "That's in the script. That's the monologue, you know." And so I got about halfway through the monologue, and finally she sits back in her chair, and she puts her hand on her mouth like this and says, she goes, "Oh." And then she realized that I was doing the monologue, and she stopped talking until the very end. And at the end, she goes, "That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Wow. Look, you got the twinkle in your eye, and you know what? You got the chutzpah too." I'm like, "The chutzpah? What is that?" She goes, "That's passion. It's passion, you know." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She says, "Look, you've been here every day this week. Every morning we come there and we look through the blinds and see if you're there, and you were there every single day. Every day you were there, and you stayed there all day."
Wow.
And I said, "Yes, ma'am, that's right. I did." She goes, "You need to go away and train and come back. You got something there, buddy." Says, "You go away and train, come back." Within the next month, my brother and I drove a $300 station wagon to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where I had been right out of the Naval Academy. I was there, and then I went to South Alabama. But then we go to the theater the theater, and I break in, and I get in, and I'm up on stage doing my 2 monologues. And after the first one, I hear there's a cloud. I said, "Who is that?" It's kind of dark in the theater, and he goes, "I'm the dean of the theater department. Who are you?" Like, "Oh, that's right. Okay. Look." And I told him the story, how I've been out there, and and I've done everything, and they told me to go away and train and come back. They told me to train and come back. Well, she goes, "That's a beautiful story. If you go to the admittance, they allow you to come in. It's good with me. You can be one of us in the theater department."
Wow.
And I went there. And the dean of what was his job? Anyway, the dean to allow us to come to school.
Oh, admissions, dean of admissions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, "Richard Tyson?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, you wrote a letter in front of me when you were here a few years ago. I'm like, oh, look, it's all changed, you know. I mean, you know, I got out of the Navy and woo, we went crazy the next year. And he goes, yes, because look, there's a note. And I said, I wrote it. He goes, yeah, you wrote it. He says, dear Dean, if I don't get my grades going or whatever, and I'm not in school the next year here, I will never ask to be in the University of Alabama ever again. I said, but look, the whole thing has changed, you know, and he goes, look, if the dean will allow you, you're in. I'm like, yes.
Wow.
It took 2 years. I did all these plays. At the end of the 2 years, I was going to rehearsal for plays on Saturday afternoon instead of going to Bear Bryant football.
Wow. How the times have changed. Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, and my brother was on the team, man. I was
wow.
Like, yeah. So I, at the end of the school season, they had auditions in Chicago for anybody looking to go to grad school or, you know, summer stock or whatever it was. You know, they were gigs. And I said, my friends wanted me to go with them. I said, I don't want to go. I know where I'm going back to Hollywood. And they're like, we'll buy the beer. I said, okay. I'm sitting in the back and I'm guarding the beers because that's a long drive. And so 5 a.m. I'm driving. I got to pull over and it's freezing and I got to pee. I got to just by the freeway and I'm just by the car. And I looked, my two friends are sound asleep. I said, I'm auditioning, damn it. I'm going to audition too, you know. And I go in there. I said, can I sign up? Yeah, you're number 535. 535 people auditioned. And I'm the last one. So I didn't rehearse after school and all that. I go up. They finally get to me, and I just look down, and there's a jacket over a chair, and I said, "Oh, that's Julius Caesar. He's underneath there." He goes, "Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I am meek and gentle with these butchers. Thou art the noblest man who ever lived in the tide of times. Woe to the hand that shed this costly blood. Over thy wounds now I do prophesy." Which, like, dumb, I don't know. But that's it went from there, you know, to that. And then they wanted a modern one. And they said, okay, that's it. Thank you. We all met in the lobby, and they announced from number 1 to number 535 that what kind of callbacks you got. Well, my friend was the first one. He got one in his hometown in North Carolina. He goes, yes. And we're all high five, you know, yeah. And then his friend, our friend, it came to him. He got 2. He's like, yeah. And everybody's getting 3. There was 1 4, but a lot of them didn't even get them. And they finally get to me, and they say your name, Richard Tyson, and they go, 18. They said 18. And my friends were like, we're not driving you home. But I got 18 callbacks, and I went to every one. And frankly, Cornell had a 2-year program for the masters, and I thought, if I go up there, I know I will be ready for a lifetime of acting and see if I really want to do it. I mean, when I did the children's theater, it made me want to perform for people. You know, it's a contribution somehow. You know, acting, and so I went back to Mobile and got ready and got on the bus. No, I didn't. I didn't get on the bus. That was the first time. The second time, I said goodbye, Dad. And I went 2 blocks from his house and I hitchhiked to I-10, which runs through, you know, all the way to Santa Monica, Pacific Ocean, and it goes from Florida all the way through. And it was about a quarter mile. And this guy picked me up. I said, "Where are you going?" He goes, "I just got out of the Coast Guard. I'm going to Seattle." I'm like, "Seattle, really? Oh my God, man! Look, well, I'm going." He was, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to I-10, and I was going to Hollywood to be in the movies." He's like, "Yeah, okay." And he goes, "Get in." I said, "Well, wherever you turn north, I can just get off on I-10 and make it." And I went all the way to my friend's house. He goes, "But I have to help my sister. I promised that I would help her sister. She's in a sleepy town near the coast in Southern California. Have you ever heard of Santa Monica?" I'm like, "I lived there 2.5 years. That's where I'm going."
Huh.
The guy dropped me off on 11th Street, my friend's house. And the next day I went to Fox Studios. The trailers were gone. It's 5 years later. It's 5 years. I thought it'd take 1 year.
Huh.
And so I went around back to the 3-story chain link fence with barbed wire on the top. And I climb it. I'm up top, and this woman leans out of the window and says, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "I'm trying to get in the movies." She goes, "You're not going to be in the movies." I said, "Yes, I am. I'm at the top of this fence, man. I got barbed wire right near the precious things."
Oh.
And I'm like, "I am. Well," she goes, "I'm calling the cops. Will you do that?" She goes, "Get down from there." I'm like, "Get down. I'm going to get down on the inside, not the outside." I'm this close, you know. And I got down and I ran and I hid like I had done years before. And I got my breath and I went walking down the street with the different offices. And I see the sign says Fenton and Feinberg Casting. I'm like, all right. It turns out they were the biggest casting office. When I met them 5 years ago, those trailers were there temporarily until they got the office is, you know, behind security and all. And so I go, "Oh, I called but right before I left, and I said, is Valerie there? She's kind of heavy set." She goes, "This is she." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." She goes, no, don't worry about it. You know, anyway, don't come out here just to see us, but drop by and see us if you come out. And they didn't want the pressure, you know, that's what,
right.
You know, and so I get there. I said, "Is Valerie here?" There was a living room. It was really like a house with a dining room, but they had the computers in there and the secretaries. And so I'm walking towards that group of secretaries, and I said, "Is Valerie here? She's kind of heavy set." And she was right behind the curtain right there. And I'm like, "I'm Valerie." I'm like, "Oh, sorry. Oh my God." And she goes, "No, look, I'm a Greek woman. I love life. I just love it. Don't you worry about it." I said, "Well, I'm Richard Tyson." She goes, Richard Tyson? You're Richard Tyson? Yeah, I talked to you on the phone, you know. She goes, yo, yeah, let's take you back to Jane Feinberg. I'm like, oh, yeah. I said, now I knew 55 monologues, not
Wow.
55.
Wow.
And I go in there, I say, hey, Miss Feinberg, I'm Richard Tyson. Nice to see you. She goes, where's your accent? I said, I can bring it back, ma'am. I don't think Mr. Shakespeare would appreciate it. She goes, you know what? After a little small talk, she goes, do you have an agent? I said, no, I don't have an agent. She goes, I know a match made in heaven. I said, that's a big phrase in my life. I've been praying on the highways for years, you know, and she called Bruce Willis's agent, and I went in to meet 3 of them, like 2 days away. And I walk in, and the whole room is packed. It's like 25 agents, you know, and they saw me up, and I did Moonlighting. That was his TV show back in the day.
Yep.
And I was a guest star, and not much to it, but and I've been working ever since.
Wow, that's one of the best stories. Like, just such a tale of resilience and persistence. Richard, what is for those listening, people know Richard from Blackhawk Down, Me, Myself, and Irene, Battlefield Earth, There's Nothing About Mary, Kingpin, 3 O'Clock High, Kindergarten Cop, and about 1,000 other things, right?
Yeah.
Richard, what's the one movie, Richard, that we're going to talk about here, 3 O'Clock High and Kindergarten Cop, but what's the movie that you wish? Oh, and I should not leave out Two Moon Junction, which is a phenomenal movie too.
Yeah.
Well, what's the movie you wish people would ask you about more that you really loved, that maybe you feel like people might have missed out on, or maybe deserves a rewatch in your filmography? What's the one?
Well, Two Moon Junction, I was stopped everywhere, Two Moon Junction, for years, and these women, as they grow older, they still, their face turns red.
Yeah, you blush, yeah.
Yeah, they blush. Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow, that's nice. That's very nice. No, but 3 O'Clock High, we started doing Comic-Cons, a few of them. And, man, the line is out the door, down the hallway for Buddy Revell. It's like, it's a culture. It's a cult, and it's just amazing. And a lot of people know Kindergarten Cop, in the grocery store. There was, I was in line. I had some avocados, and there were 2 black ladies in front of me, and they look back and they go, we know who you are. I'm like, who am I? Who am I? He said, well, we know who. I said, who am I? He says, says, you're the Moon Man. That's what they said. They were so nice. I took pictures with them, and about 2 weeks later, I guess I met their boyfriends or something, but there were 2 guys, and I had avocados again. And they go, oh, yeah, you the man. I'm like, wow. At Two Moon Junction, and it had Zalman King was the director, and that was good. I did an independent. I've done a lot of independent movies, especially with the strike and the the sickness that's around the world these days.
Right.
I did a movie called Jake's Corner, and I think it's one of my best movies. I don't think it had legs, but I always tell people take time to do that. I'm up for what do you call it? A religious movie, a Baptist movie, and I had already done one years ago. It's called Last Flight Out. It's called Last Flight Out.
Yeah.
I go and save some people down on the island. But movies, I don't know. There's so many.
There's so many. You have a very active filmography.
Yeah, my Carrie that was up, and she had to go. She was looking when I first met her. She's checking on who is this guy, and she goes, you've done over 160 productions. I'm like, what? When did I do that? Oh, God.
That's great. That is great. Before we get into 3 o'clock high, I'm fascinated, right? Because I used to watch TV with my dad all the time when he was alive, and we used to watch the Farrelly brothers movies, and I used to say, "Oh my God, there he is! There he is!" This is 90s, and I was like, I couldn't figure out your relationship with the Farrelly brothers, right? Because me, myself, and Irene, there's something about Mary Kingpin. How'd you hook up with those guys? And I'm surprised you didn't do more with them, because I feel like the way they used you was awesome. It was really effective. It was great to see. But I don't know, whatever you wanted to say about the Farrelly brothers in those 3 movies.
I wish we hadn't fallen away. I mean, we just lost touch. Everybody gets busy and stuff.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
But they were good friends of mine. I was on TV at the time, Hardball. I did Hardball.
Oh, good show. Yeah. Is it NBC, Richard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tartikoff was the president, and my agent goes, the head of NBC wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay, let's go. Says, we'll do it tomorrow, okay? All right, great. We get there about 10 a.m. I don't want to lose track, but we get there at 10 a.m. and the secretary says, go right on in. And I open the door, and it was big as a gymnasium, his office, and it didn't have much furniture or anything, but way in the back, straight on center field, there was a desk, and the guy stands up, and it's Tartikoff, and
Wow.
he's Richard Tyson. Look, meet me under the sunlight. There was one in the middle of the place, and he picked up 2 chairs and put me down. Put it down. Says, all right, Rich Tyson, we got to get this. Me and my crew. I mean, we just got to get this off and get this out of the way. He says, you know what? We haven't seen heat on the screen at Two Moon Junction. We haven't seen heat on the screen since Brando did Tango. I'm like, can you get a witness in here? A witness. I mean, now I have to tell the story. It sounds like a jerk, but I'm like, I'm never going to forget that, Brando, we can do it. We can do it. Anyway.
That's a very good Brando, Richard.
Man, we're thinking about, we're doing this, we're doing that,
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, so anyway, he goes, well, look, I want to give you a TV show. I'm like, I'll take it. He goes, no, look, I'm going to send you a script. If you don't like it, just throw it across, throw it at your wall, because I know you do that when you read a script and it's not good. I know you throw your scripts in this one part of your wall in your 1-bedroom house in Santa Monica on the 10th floor overlooking the ocean. I'm like, how in the hell does he know that? And so he goes, and look, don't say yes just because I'm the president. You wait until you find something you like. I'm like, okay. I'm on number 5, and I throw it against the wall. I'm like, damn it, man. I know he said, be cool about it, but anyway, the guy who the second script I wrote, the guy, I had worked with him in a Davy Crockett thing up in Canada a year before this. And he goes, look, Tyson, look, I hear you're on a short list at NBC. I'm like, you don't know how short it is. That's short. Brandon Tartikoff. And so he says, look, we have it rewritten. We've got real pros doing it. And look, you're going to love it. And we're going to send it to you. And just read it. I know you've already read it. No, it's different. It's so different. Like, okay, I'll read it. And I liked it. And Tartikoff says, okay. We've talked to John Ashton, Beverly Hills Cop, and your partners. And he probably didn't say y'all. But I said, oh, okay. I learned more from John than anybody else. I mean, just about being on the set and what you need to do. And just being free enough to work, you know.
Right.
And I always say it's not work. They call it a screenplay, you know.
Right.
Yeah. When I'm when I'm in the theater, it's play, you know.
Right.
It's like, can you imagine you get to play for a living? I mean, it's almost like baseball, you know.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Very similar.
My father didn't say that we could make $350 million playing third base. We didn't know that back then, you know. But I was following his footsteps, you know, until that ankle thing. But anyway, met John Ashton, and we beat Cosby 3 times during that season. And he was huge back then.
Oh, Cosby Show was that was by far the number 1 show. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. They put me on a TV Guide. You know that song, Rolling Stones. What's that? In the cover of what is it?
Oh, I know the song you're talking about.
In the cover of a Rolling Stone, you know. So,
yeah. I got that song. Yeah.
So I was walking around on the cover of TV Guide.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, Richard, I wanted to ask you. So I want to get to 3 O'Clock High. I think, without question, it's the most underappreciated movie to come out of the 80s. Like, this movie took off on VHS. It should have taken off in the movies. It was that good. I think this is me talking. I think it's better than The Breakfast Club. And I'll stand behind that. I think it's that good. Tell me a tougher opponent. The Ferret in Kindergarten Cop or Jerry Mitchell in 3 O'Clock
High? That Ferret was tenacious. But, boy, I tell you, the handler, he gave me what is it? What is it? It's not a rat. What is it?
It's a ferret.
A ferret, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a ferret. And the kid has it in his sweater. And I get shot 4 times in the chest running.
Right.
And the guy with the ferrets, he said, all right, just release him down there by your knee, you know, and when you get shot 4 times. Well, I said, okay, let me just practice. Okay, we're ready. Action. I'm running down there, and Arnold, bam, 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 bam. And the bullets are different depending on what station it's on. It was 4 when it came out, but I think there's 1 or 2, you know, these days. But so I get shot in the chest, and I go, wow, like this. And the ferret goes up against the wall, splat, you know? And he jumps down and he runs, and you can tell he's okay, but it scared him, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how many? Is he all right? Yeah, he's all right. Okay, so I just, I mean, I rehearsed it and I tried to do it, but when you get shot 4 times in the chest, you don't think about, dropping the squirrel down on on the carpet. And we went through 8 of them, and I never could get it right.
Wow. Wow.
And I didn't, I gave them a pep talk, afterwards, and they were all okay with it. They're in the movies. I say it's still probably Jerry Mitchell. I mean,
yeah.
That scene at the end where Buddy Revell brings the money back.
Yeah.
In his fist.
Yeah.
People, we wrote that. We came up with that. We weren't going to do it unless there was some redemption in his character, and don't even have to say anything. Just the smallest smile in cinema history.
Yes.
But Buddy Revell, it's like, you little bastard, you got me. But
Richard, I have to say, when I rewatched 3 O'Clock High, because I watched it a lot, like I watched it recently knowing we were going to speak, I have to say, I cheer for Buddy. I think Jerry's a little bit of a weasel, right?
Yeah.
He has the offensive lineman go after him, and then he tries to pay him off, and then you give my favorite line of the movie. It's by far my favorite line, maybe of any movie in the 80s, right? You say, you didn't even try. How's that feel? And he calls him a pussy, but he says, it's such a great line. Like, how's that feel? Like, that's a more hurtful comment than any fight that could happen to him.
Yeah, and he's so disgusted with him. He's so disgusted. And we just started doing, was it TikTok or something?
Yes, you guys are awesome on TikTok. I will mention that before we end this. Yes.
And talking to all the people, all the guys and stuff, and they want me to do, my favorite line in 3 O'Clock High. I said, they exchanged money, and he goes, no catches? He says, no catches. But you know what, Mitchell? You're the biggest pussy I ever met in my life. You didn't even try. How does that feel? And he flips his cigarette onto the gymnasium floor, and they had like 5 or 6 people trying to get it before it burnt the floor. No, but
that just gave me chills, by the way, you saying that. Like, I'm just telling you, that's awesome, man. That is awesome.
So we immediately got a big arrow in the TikTok, and I said, oh, look, I was just quoting we kind of got in trouble, I guess, for saying that line like that, I guess.
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. Yeah. That is a line from a movie. My God.
Yeah. And it was requested by more than one, Yeah, what, is wuss okay?
Well, believe me, I'm posting this clip when this interview goes out. I'm posting the clip again, so if I get flagged, I don't care. It's going up because it's one of the best lines ever. So whatever.
Yeah, and then the one in the beginning, where Jerry hits his arm and it goes to slow motion, and Buddy Revell turns to it because you're never gonna forget this, and puts his foot in the toilet, and then we choreographed where he would take step 2, 3 backwards, and I would put him up against the mirror. Well, we tried it. I said, look, I got 4 brothers. Let me just throw them up against the mirror, all right? He goes, can you do that? I said, yeah, I can do that. And we did it. And we did it a few times. And all of a sudden, that's 36 Buddy Revells around Jerry Mitchell. And he goes, you made me mad, Jerry. Now, I'm going to have to do something to work it off. He goes, work it off? He goes, yeah. You and me, we're going to have a fight at 3 o'clock. You try to run away, I'll track you down. You go to the teachers, it's only going to get worse. You sneak home, I'll be under your bed. You and me. 3 o'clock.
Oh. Oh my God, Richard! I might have to change my shorts right now. That is unbelievable. And let me tell you something. People, that by the way, thank you for that. That is phenomenal. Yeah. Those are all going to be great clips.
Great.
You know, Buddy didn't need the brass knuckles to beat this guy up. And I'll tell you what else. Nobody talks about this, but Jerry's a cheater too. He had his friend jump in. Like, are you kidding? I don't know. Like, when I rewatched this, I don't think Jerry's as innocent as I thought he was when I watched it when I was 13, being scared out of my pants by your performance in the theater. Yeah. But I don't know. When you rewatch this movie, I got some doubt. I'm not saying that it's a complete sell. Maybe people may not agree with me, but rewatch this movie. I think Jerry's not as innocent as they want, as I thought it was when he was 13.
Oh yeah, he's a manipulator. He's just,
a little bit.
Yeah, and he not a little bit. And the worst cut in 3 O'Clock High is when his friend, I throw him, I take him and push him against the van, and then they cut, and he's kind of pushing me, and I'm going backwards, and I'm up against the van during the fight scene.
Yeah,
and nothing happens, and it happens. They play it again. So he slams me twice against the damn van. I just hate that moment.
Yeah, but that's you can't help that. But I will say there's a lot of great shots in this movie, and I love the one. And I don't want to harp on this one scene, but it's when he tries to pay you, when they pan back and you're walking away. That's a pretty cool shot in the gymnasium, right? The sun is coming in, you're walking away. It's a really beautiful piece of cinematography.
Yeah, man. And that guy. Famous director now.
He was younger than you guys, right? When you directed this whole thing, like you and Casey, I want to say he was younger than you at the time.
What?
He was younger than you and Casey at the time, I think. The director of 3 O'Clock. I think, if my math is right, but it probably isn't.
Well, yeah, he was. I'm not talking about the director, although he was great.
Oh, you mean cinematographer? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
If you could look that up, man, you'll know his name, and he's famous. He's
right.
And he went on to direct, but Phil Joanna was the director.
That's right. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah. I said, Phil, I was on a podcast, and I was like, Phil was on it, and I hadn't talked to him since then. And I said, Phil, I had 15 callbacks to get the movie, and it's Spielberg. And ran my ass around all, what the hell? He goes, you know what? Really, you had it after the first one, but we just had to find the nerd, so we just kept you guessing. They flew me to New York and put me at the Plaza. And all my friends from Cornell that came down to do theater, I called out, I said, I'm at the Plaza, man. Spielberg flew me to the New York. I'm here. Come on down. And we had a great time that weekend.
Richard, I'm embarrassed I didn't know this, that the cinematographer is Barry Sonnenfeld. I should have known that.
Yeah,
that's embarrassing that I didn't know that. Like, you are correct. He is a very famous director.
What did he do? You got
he
that?
He did Men in Black. He did The Unfortunate Events, I think, when it came on Netflix. I mean, he did a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he made that clock come to life, and, the way he did it in 3 O'Clock High. I mean, that clock, every tick, we're getting close. And also, what was the actor's name? He played the principal.
Oh, yeah.
For the fight.
Yeah, he yells at Mitchell. He yells at Mitchell from the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, "Don't fuck this up, Mitchell."
But you know what's scary, Richard, is your performance is so goddamn good because it's real. Like you can feel Jerry's like anxiety through the whole movie. Like so you look at Back to the Future, Biff is a little cartoonish, right? you're not really scared of him. He's kind of a cartoon guy, but Buddy is real. Like this guy, everyone knew a Buddy that was like, don't mess with this guy. Yes, everyone knew a Buddy. Like, wow.
Yeah, that's right. That you could name your buddy in your senior year in high school. You can name him.
Jesus, that I mean, you know, and the other thing I noticed that I rewatched it, and I hope I get this right. You're a southpaw. Is that
Southpaw?
Are you a southpaw? Are you a lefty? Because I swear you were, unless I'm looking at the camera angle wrong. I thought you were a lefty when you threw one of the punches. Are you a lefty or no?
You know, the last few years I've realized I am a lefty. You know, and I could hit the ball further left-handed, but I could have a higher batting average right-handed, so I didn't really work on my left. Oh, I was a righty because my two older brothers were righties, and they had the gloves that I learned with.
Yeah.
They get a new one, I get theirs, you know.
And you know, Richard, last question before I ask you a couple questions about Kindergarten Cop. And thank you for all this time, by the way. You've been so awesome to speak with. Thank you for that.
I'm glad. That's awesome, man. I'm glad to do it.
Yeah. And you know, it made me think of bullying, and bullying in the 80s is very much different than bullying now. Like, right? Can you imagine if this fight took place today? It would be on social media. People would be in jail. Like, it's a very different. Bullying is a very different thing. And you know, from when I was a kid to 2023.
Yeah, it you know, I mean, I look back at my parents, you know, in school and what they did, and you know, the little girls had bows in their hair, you know, and it was like they were going to church every day, you know. It was school, you know, and now there's, I mean, no one thought to bring a gun to school or, you know, or any of that. And there wasn't a group of people fighting another group, you know. Someone was saying something to me about, well, in Japan, mostly the people there are Japanese. And then in Greece, most of them are Greek, you know, and we're a mixture of everybody.
That's right. Yeah.
And we're about to get it right now. I mean, we're balancing out, you know, and I believe we're moving in the right direction. But it's like, if you want to join society, you feel like you're not, you're welcome. Please do. You know, leave your gun in the trunk, or don't even have a gun. You know, we're all here together. You know, and we Buddy Ravel, somebody asked me about, what do you think about doing a rerun of that, you know? Well, we did come up with an idea. Buddy Ravel was either coming home from military or he was in jail. And since then, we think it might just be a good guy, you know. What if he was a congressman or something that I always wanted to be? Or he's just a good man, you know. He learned his lessons growing up. And
why can't they do that, Richard? Because Cobra Kai is essentially a look at the guys from Karate Kid 30 or 40 years later. Why couldn't you do something where you fast forward 3 o'clock high to 2023 and I don't know. I think it's a great idea.
And you know what? He comes back to the school.
Yes.
Where Jerry Mitchell is the principal now.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Richard, how was Casey during this whole thing? Was he a good guy to work with? Did you enjoy, you know, because he had to put up with a lot of your pushing him up in mirrors, and talk about your experience just with Casey.
Oh man, he was great, man. We used to meet every morning at 5 a.m. and go on a bicycle ride. And I just saw his Westerns in the two movies where there were some movie stars in that, where there's a group of kids that are outlaws. What's the name of it?
Was it Young Guns?
Yeah, Young Guns.
Yeah.
And he had shot the first one before 3 o'clock high. It hadn't come out yet. But one day, he goes, Rich, I don't play pussies. And he's the boxer of all of them, the pugilist,
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, maybe we can get through this.
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, if Buddy and Jerry fought 100 times, Buddy's winning 99 of them. I mean, there's not, what? Let me just ask you two quick questions on Kindergarten Cop. Did you come up with the idea of the fire drill? Was that your idea?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, I was listening to an interview, and I would credit them. I don't remember who it was, but like, holy cow, that's a huge plot point. That's a big thing.
Well, they called me in, Ivan Reitman. I think it was a group of us. We were in the penthouse at Universal Studios after we shot. No, it was before. And when was it? Yeah, no, it was after we shot everything in Oregon on the exteriors. We came and shot the interior of that high school, rebuilt on Universal Studios. I mean, there was a board that was loose on the stairwell that the kids come down and says, "Stranger danger," But I did, and I did the first rehearsal with the kids when we're back in LA, and I'm like, "Oh wait!" And I stepped away, and I'm like, "Is this board still rickety?" And I was standing right there. I didn't want them to bust it, and it was. It was there, man. I mean, that's how perfect they got it together. But ask me that again. What were you saying?
No, the fact that you came up with the idea of the fire drill, which is a huge part of the movie. Yeah.
So there's a black tower. It's 18 stories going into Universal Studios. And every actor slaps the tower, on the ground going into for luck, and all of a sudden I was invited up to the penthouse, and that's what everyone wants to do, is to go to the penthouse eventually. And I walked in, and there was Ivan Reitman, God bless him, and his two other producers that both made $350 million on Ghostbusters.
Wow.
And the president of Universal, and me, and my agent. She messed things up, but anyway, I said, do you mind if I look down from here, down there, see where the actors walk in? They go, oh, go ahead. And I almost went, nah, 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 but I didn't. I went, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And I turn around, they're all laughing. And so we came up, we kind of says, what can you do? I said, they go, look, Tyson, I thought I was still in trouble or something. I don't know. And thought I did something wrong. And I said, look, we love what you did, but Arnold looks bad for shooting you. All you wanted was your boy back. I'm like,
right. Just a dad. Yeah.
That's all I wanted. That's all my character wanted. Cullen Chris, he wanted to get his boy back. And I joked over the years, it's because my mom used to put me in the bath, and I was her baby doll. And now I'm grown. I got hair on my chest. I can't really sit in the tub and let her stroke me. And so maybe he can get the kid and give it to her so that she can rub him down, and keep him clean. I mean, it's her grandchild, or whatever. And so they said, well, look, we're going to spend the next 2 weeks and make you evil. I'm like, yeah, okay. What do you want? Let me see. What can I do? So the first thing, we put chains on my wrist and in front of the judge. And And he goes, "You're a $3 million drug guy. You know, you're bad, bad, horrible. You know, and yeah, you're bad." You know, I'm like, "All right." There was something in the first scene that I can't remember, but anyway, so Arnold goes through the door, follows me out, and he's going to interrogate me. He's going to throw me through the door, and he's like getting his hands all ready to go. His shirt all in the right place. He goes, "I'm going to throw you through that door." I said, "No, you're not. No, you're not, Arnold. Look, I went and got a master's at Cornell University. I know how to throw myself through that door. You're not doing it." He goes, "I don't know, Tyson. I don't know. I don't know. You may not make me look good." I said, "I will make you look good." And he goes, "All right, Tyson." I said, "No, you're going to be fine there. You just, let's do it, you know." And I went parallel to the floor through that door. And I was going back towards the chair, stumbling. And Arnold just touched me a little bit. And I sat down, and I'm like, "Okay, we got that one." And then we were just throwing it around, and I said, "Yeah, I mean, in my grammar school, we had to do fire drills, like every month or every 2 weeks or something. It seemed like we did it a lot,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't know if it's mine or Ivan's or whatever. We were just going through it, and they go at the end, says, "We knew we had the right guy. We had to make you evil." Okay, we got it. We got it.
Richard, is Arnold a good guy?
Yeah, man, he was great. First time I saw him, he was in a sound studio, big white building, and huge ceilings, and he was sitting on a little table, by a little table, with an English teacher and then some producers and stuff, and he what'd he do? Oh, he was there learning English.
Right.
Because way back then he didn't speak it as well as he does now. I mean, I think he was having trouble with an R or something like that. So they tried to substitute, words, that didn't have R, or, I'm not sure if it was R, but he was humble enough to be working on that,
Right.
and that's the first time I ever saw him. And I had respect for him ever since, we would, I'd tell jokes between, shots, and all the crew. They ended up, when they get finished, they're coming over because we're laughing like hell, and Arnold would too. But Arnold, that was English is his second language, So I'm telling jokes in English, and so he would, everyone would burst out laughing, but he wouldn't, and then he'd hold. Oh, he'd go, "Oh," and then we'd all go, "Oh." And he was great, man. We had a lot of fun.
And Richard, you could tell when you watch his career that by movie his English gets better, and that's a really hard thing. Like, can you imagine, like either of us? Or you're an actor, I'm not, but if we went to like Spain, like how tough that would be to learn a language and learn a dialogue and learn like. So it's an unbelievable, like what he's done as an actor. It's unbelievable.
As a person, I mean, the governor. I mean,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, the last thing I want to say is, when you saw this title, it's like Kindergarten Cop. You're like, oh great, this is going to be a flop. There's no way this works. And son of a bitch, this movie has such a huge heart, and it's so rewatchable. Like in 2023, it's so enjoyable. It's great. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Ivan Reitman, I said, "Look, Ivan, once Cullen Chris gets Dominic, once he's in his arm, and they go into the nurse's station, and he puts him down, and he goes, I'm a fireman. He goes, where's your hat? and
Mm.
and Cullen Chris goes, I can't fool my own boy. Oh my God! Look, I'm your father, Dominic. I'm your father. Don't you remember? Twinkle, I said, twinkle, twinkle. I said, Ivan, I want to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star to my kid. I hadn't seen him forever. And he goes, no, you're the bad guy. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. I said, I want to do it. Come on. He goes, don't do it. Don't do it. We're on schedule, And I'm like, no, he was on schedule, but he never said that, He loved making movies like we do, and he so the first 3 takes I didn't do it. Third take, the little kid put his hand on my face, right above my mouth.
Right.
And I said, oh, don't you remember? Twinkle, and I patted my face with his hand. I said, twinkle, twinkle, little star,
Yeah.
And Ivan, at the end of that cut, he goes, all right, cut. You had to do it.
That's great. That's great.
I said, yeah, I had to do it. And you know what? It's in the movie.
I've had so much fun, Richard. And before I let you go, first of all, I hope you come back one day. Like, I would love to talk to you again. Like, we just touched the tip of the iceberg with your wonderful career. But let's get some stuff out there. So, do you do cameo? Is that still a thing? Do you? I thought I saw something earlier. You did. I wasn't sure.
I do, but it's not very active. I don't know. I shut it down for a while, but
gotcha. Okay.
But
you have a TikTok, I know. You have an Instagram, I know. Whatever you want to say, you'll talk about whatever you want. I'll give you this time to get anything you want out there.
Cameo, yeah, I do have that too. But actors access,
with the strike, I didn't even think about that.
I didn't have it for a long time, and now we're going to put it back together because I had a manager back in the day that knew what he was doing. But since then, I haven't really participated with. But I'm getting back on Actors Access in the next week, I guess, something like that.
And you have TikTok and Instagram, which you're on a lot, right? You are on those, right?
Well, yeah, I've only done one weekend twice. I've done it twice, and
very popular though, Richard. People have been I stopped just to listen for a couple moments each time, and there was a lot of people watching. I mean, it was pretty popular.
Man, I tell you, they said 230. It's not likes, or maybe it's likes, or what is?
Well, when you watch it, you can see how many people are watching, how many likes you have. Both were very popular. Both were very, enormous numbers. They were really.
Yeah, I know. We were like, oh my God. I said, I didn't even know people knew I was still walking on the planet here.
And the way you treat fans is really, really special. It's like you don't act like you're very kind to your fans. You're very good I watch. It's really nice to see somebody that actually, because I went to a couple Comic Cons and one of the topics was, we were talking about actors. They could give a shit about who their fans are. They don't care. Like, you clearly care about your fans, which is, as a fan, refreshing to see.
Oh yeah, I was at one, and this girl came up in a wheelchair with her mom pushing it, and it's like, I said, "What? Hey, how you doing?" And she kind of smiled. So it was a crooked smile, but it was genuine, and she was trying to hand me something, and I got it, and it was I love you, a bracelet, and what is if you can't see what is the language that she would know, and she knew it, a blind Braille.
Braille, right? Yeah, you feel,
Braille.
yeah.
It was in Braille, and it was "I love you," the bracelet, and she was
Oh,
trying
that's
to
very
give it
sweet.
to me.
Yeah.
And I just, oh, you know, and I think we saw her one more time, you know, and I had the bracelet on. That was great.
And I really want to see you at Comic Cons because I'm pushing for that. Like, you should be at, like, you know, we were talking Rhode Island Comic Con. I want to see you at, like, you would be overwhelmingly popular with people. I think I have a pulse on what works or what people like. I think you would be a wonderful addition to any Comic Con.
Well, man, if you hear of one, and let's get back together and talk some more. And you know, anything I can do for you, let's figure it out.
Yeah, you rock, Richard. And when I get